Receive. Court will come to order. It is Monday, August the 4th, 2025. It is 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Court is now in session in a special meeting. We do not have prayer and pledge on special meetings, so we will go straight into the regular agenda. Remind everybody to please turn these off or to silence so they don't interrupt the proceedings. And there is an opportunity for public input. I've got one request, but it has an agenda item, and we'll deal with that at that agenda item. Anyone from the public that wants to address the court? Very well, then we'll move on to first item on the agenda is 1.1, discussion. This is not an action, this is discussion regarding the calculations of the 2025 property tax rates for Kerr County and the Lake Ingram Estates Road District. Bob Reeves, our tax assessor collector.
Morning, gentlemen. As you know, every year, part of my duties is to calculate the tax rates, and the calculations that I come up with are based on specific methods and outlines as outlined by state law. And
that was Freudian.
I'm not going to argue with that, Judge. And then they're placed on forms promulgated by the state comptroller's office. It's not as simple as taking last year's tax rate and applying something to it. What we always hear is the no new revenue rate. That's a rate, a benchmark rate, if you will, that takes the same properties from last year and this year, applying calculations, considering market appreciation, any additional exemptions that's been given to it. Perhaps a property didn't have ag value last year, was granted ag value this year. And it comes up with a rate, which is the no new revenue rate. It comes up with a rate that would produce the same amount of revenue on the same properties in the 2 years in comparison. You've heard of the voter approval rate. Voter approval rate is the maximum rate that you can exceed the no new revenue rate without going to the voters to approve the tax rate. Now, once again, it's not as simple as taking the no new revenue rate and multiplying it. There's certain calculations that go into it. One of the most common, or one of the most interesting, is how much did the unfunded mandates that we all talk about that are brought down, how much did they increase from 1 year to the next? What could that impact our tax rate for? It does not include the voter approval rate, the multiplication factors, does not include your debt rate. We have to pay debt. It only applies to the maintenance and operations, that portion of the rate. With that said, we also have a 1/2 cent sales tax in this county that specifically is meant to reduce the maintenance and operations rate of the property taxes. So that is applied before the voter approval rate is calculated on that. Heather, did I give you those papers? I meant to give them to the court. Would you mind?
Yep, you got it.
I've summarized the calculations that I've worked on since we received certified values from the appraisal district on about 10 days ago. I'd like to thank Tanya for working with me. But if you look at the first part, I've put on there the 2024 adopted tax rate and how it's broken down into maintenance and operations, or what is known as M&O, the debt rate, and our lateral road fund. Now, the no new revenue rate for this year, regardless if you utilize the 3.5% that we're allowed by law, or the rate that you authorized me a few weeks ago to calculate, the 8%, the no new revenue rate is the same for both of those. It's exactly what it is. It's no new revenue rate before any factors are applied. You'll see the no new revenue rate, and I will place a caveat. I am 99.9% sure I'm ready to file this with you. I'm wanting to proofread it for the umpteenth time before I give it to you, so I'm going to keep that 0.1% till I look at it again. As in any year, it's too important just to not be certain on it. Is there any questions on that?
Yeah, Bob, so you're saying that the 2025 3.5% adopted rate would be the no new revenue, or no?
No, sir. No, sir. That's
So what would be the no new revenue tax rate?
the no, well, you said adopted.
Well, that's because that's what it says right here.
Well, the adopted was what we adopted in '24.
I see what you're saying, yeah. All right, so,
The no new revenue rate, as I said, I'm 99.9% certain, is 0.4024.
okay, so that is this column right
That
there.
column right
Thank
there.
you.
That is correct, Commissioner.
That's what I was looking for.
If you turn to the next page, and this is not a transposure, but the voter approval rate, if we're using 3.5%, is 0.4867 per $100. If we use the emergency rate, it is 0.4601. The reason being, for 2 out of the past 3 years, and state law allows this on a rolling 3-year average, if you adopt the no new revenue rate, you get to bank the revenue you did not use in the prior years. 2 of the past 3, so 24, 23, 22. We get to use that. Next year, when I calculate it, the 22 banked increments will roll off. So you have about a nickel over there of unused increment or foregone revenue that you chose to take care of the taxpayers by using no new, it's available for use. That rate will drop fairly significantly next year, even if you drop the no new revenue, just simply because we're rolling over the latest year, 24, 23, 22, we'll drop 22. It was pretty significant in that year. And 23 was the year that the bond election rates were figured into it, so that year's 0. So that's just to give you. But probably what you want to ask yourselves, what's it really mean? I mean, it's just numbers. First of all, if you look on the next page, what's it mean? If our citizens' taxes are frozen, if they were frozen last year, no matter what you do, unless you drop the rate significantly from what it was last year, the impact is 0. What's it mean to the average homeowner with no new revenue rate? You'll see about a $74 increase. For every 1 cent that you adopt a rate above the no new revenue rate, it's about a $39 increase in your taxes. If you use the same rate as last year, we're probably going to see a $155 increase.
And that's per what? Per
So that's
For the
based on
average homeowner.
which
Average
is what,
homeowner, which is valued at
300,000 or something?
300.
360 some odd thousand.
Okay.
And Bob, just please clarify, for the sake of the public, that this only applies to county taxes,
This is only
not
county.
ISD,
It is-
not city, not anything else.
While I calculate for a number of entities, what I'm presenting here today, Commissioner, is only as it impacts the county road and bridge or lateral road fund, which they're a combined rate, and our general fund. It doesn't include Lake Ingram Estates because nothing will, that's debt only, so no factors are applied to that. So it only applies to the county taxes.
Yeah. I think there's always a certain amount of confusion because people see their ISD tax rates go up, for example. And when we're trying to
Generally
tell them
spe-
that we had a no new revenue rate in the county, so the county taxes didn't really go up, but maybe some of the other taxes
Some of the
did.
ISDs could have gone up if you live in one of the two municipalities that we have in Kerr County. Their tax rates are independent. The ESD rates are independent. Some of them are frozen. All school taxes, if you're over 65, are frozen. City of Kerrville, if you're over 65, they're frozen. Kerr County, naturally, they're frozen. ESDs, City of Ingram, UGRA, Headwaters, they're not frozen. So each individual entities, you could have them go down in one entity and end up your check that you write at the end of the year is larger.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, when you talked about the nickel we've got that can roll over,
It's just under a nickel, but I use common terms.
yeah, but
Commissioner.
you would still be looking at that as percentages of increase in the taxes.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
because it's not, it didn't quite sound like that, but that's what it is, right?
It's an increase. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just
Right.
saying that increment is available.
Right, okay.
And finally, on the last page, because I collect taxes, but I don't like taxes. Let me be real honest. For every penny over the no new revenue rate, this is what it would cost my wife and I with our investment properties, our house, her business. However, as a taxpayer, if we need money to pay for the kind of law enforcement we have, the kind of roads we have, the kind of staff we have, I don't like it, but I'm not going to complain about paying it to have something like what we've got here or the staff in this county. And that number for the public's $255 for every penny for me.
Say that again?
For him personally, that's
Oh,
what
that-
it costs.
that's for you and Janet.
For me and Janet, every penny you go up's going to cost us $255.
For every 1 cent increase.
Every 1 cent increase.
Yeah, that's a lot of properties.
So, Bob, on this sheet that talks about over 65 taxes frozen, and the next row down, average homeowner no new revenue rate, you're showing $74. Explain that again, why is that going up if it's the no new revenue rate?
The no new revenue rate's just a rate, Commissioner. It figures the same properties. Now, if your house went up more than, in percentage, than what the percentage increase of value countywide was, you're gonna pay more. If your house, case in point, last year, no new revenue rate, someplace I think in the $60, I don't have it for the average household. But the rates went down. Y'all lowered the rate with no, my rate, my value on my house stayed the same, so I actually paid less in taxes. It's all statisticals and
Yeah.
averages on that.
But typically in the past, I don't know what they did this year, but the appraisal district on average increased appraised values by about 10%. Is that still the case?
It wasn't quite that big this year. Now, everybody out there
And it's
will
an
not.
average.
That's what I'm wanting to point out, and we know what averages do. Any other questions from the court?
So what would the rate be if we actually wanted a tax rate that keeps people whole in terms of real no new revenue? In other words, after the appraised value increase, what would we have to lower it down to keep taxes on average the same?
I haven't calculated that, Commissioner. I could go back and,
That's the number I'd like to see,
I
Bob.
could go back and let you know on that, but I have not calculated. I've given you no new revenue rate, but I'd have to take the average house and drop down to what we paid last year, and I don't have that data available.
Okay.
Anything else for Mr. Reeves?
Thanks.
Tough job. Appreciate what you're doing. Okay. Did you want to say anything on 1.1? Okay. That's all? Yeah. Yeah, we took it first.
Yes, I would like to speak on this. Terry Hall with Liberty in Action on Independence Lane. First, I want to talk about what we heard from 4 other county judges from other counties at the hearing last week about their consideration of having to go up to an 8% disaster rate. Judge Corbin said, "I don't ever want to do that to my citizens." Judge Foley saying, "Idea of dropping another 8% on them, asking them to pay for all that damage is painful.
Ms. Hall?
They
I
can't afford that
apologize.
right now."
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do the 8%.
I just want to finish what I
Have
had
at
prepared
it.
to say. Judge Harden was saying to tax our citizens in desperate time of need on top of the debt rate we're imposing on them doesn't feel right. It's something we want to avoid at all costs. Judge Carter, we push our lower tax rates every so often because we wouldn't want to have to go up to 8% like that. So I just wanted to make sure that our county is in that same mindset, because it sure didn't seem that way when the 8% was first discussed and y'all voted on that on July 14th. I'm glad to hear you're not considering that now. But as you just heard from Mr. Reeves, it doesn't matter even if you adopt the no new revenue rate, our taxes still go up.
We understand that.
So you really have to lower the tax rates in order to even keep it even. And that's the struggle that everyone under 65 in this county has to face year after year. And especially in a year of a disaster, this shouldn't even be on the table. We really need you to lower the rates.
I'm still confused why anybody thought we voted on that 8%. All we voted on was letting Bob
And
Reeves.
calculate the rate.
Right, to calculate the rate. And that is his job. And so we asked him to do that.
But if you would never
We never
consider
considered-
voting for it, then why would you, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you really don't want to consider the 8%, why would you ask him to run the numbers?
I think it's incumbent upon this court to have everything in front of us.
Absolute full disclosure.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to have the full disclosure like Commissioner Pace has just called for, to say, hey, what's the rate to make people whole, and actually what would we have to lower it to,
And we're gonna
just to
get that.
keep taxes even? Why is that not calculated? Why are we calculating
Because it was just
8% but not
asked
how to make
today.
it lower?
He said he would do it.
Yes, but I mean, that's the first thing you raised to do, was go up to 8% and get the numbers for that, but not to actually lower the rate to see if you can make people whole. That's all we're asking.
Well, we have a process to go through, and we're a long way from done. I only wish that you had provided some quotes from some of the member of this court that have been made subsequent to the approval to calculate taxes, in giving assurances that we're not going to do that.
Okay.
You know, fine, quote other judges. I don't really care what they do. How about giving us a little bit of credit for some of the statements that have actually been
We
made?
do appreciate you pushing back on the 8% rate, for sure.
I don't think anybody didn't. Terry, I heard you on the radio, or local radio station, first of the year, during the hot tax deal. You were trying to garner support against it.
Yes,
And you made the comment that your property taxes went up $1,200 last year. You remember that?
yes,
And you made a flippant comment that what do I need to do, sell a child or something? Your taxes actually went up $19 last year.
not according to the numbers that we ran.
Well, you ran them wrong then. In fact, and since I've set up here, your property taxes have gone down over $1,200, your personal. If you'd like a copy, I got it right here for you.
Yes, I would, because
Boy,
the
you
chart
got
that
it.
I have shows with my appraisal and what the
Actually-
value's gone up and how much I'm supposed to owe. The
Appraisals
state's
didn't
brought it
matter.
down.
We're talking property taxes, and you made a flat-out lie on the radio station, and it wasn't been challenged till now. And you do that pretty regular, like saying we were going up to 8% right off the bat, and that was a lie. You do that all the time.
Sir, I don't like being called a liar because that
Well,
is
then
not
don't
my
lie.
understanding of that at all. I have to go fight it every year, and the state buys down that rate. The state
You're-
is giving
you're-
money to lower that because it would have gone up had it not been the state legislature stepping in to relieve property
We're
tax.
not gonna have an argument like that in this courtroom.
Well, let me tell you, what we were.
Be civil.
I will. But I'll tell you, your county taxes, what we're responsible up here, went down $3 last year. So here's a copy if you'd like to look it over.
Anything else on item number 1.1?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Then let's move on to the fun part. Item 1.2. Discussion
Judge.
regard,
We had another public comment.
oh, yeah, you did. I'm sorry, please. This is,
Jacob Wellnitz, Jeffrey Scott Road. So I don't get a frozen tax rate. I'm not over 65. I am part of an EASD. I am part of KISD. I understand that their rates are independent. I just want to get this on the record for everybody in this county. My personal mortgage has gone up several $100s due to taxes. Now, not all of that is y'all. I understand that. Some of that's county appraisal district raise and valuation. I get that too. But I'm not going to talk numbers. What I'm going to talk about is rents go up on people if tax rates go up. The price of everything we buy in local businesses goes up. Businesses don't have homestead. They can't defer. So when we start discussing rates, whatever y'all end on, remember, if you raise rates on business, it means the price of it, literally everything we buy locally goes up. It means that we now have to buy elsewhere potentially, right? Sales tax goes up because the price of those goods went up. So I would say whatever you end up doing, at least keep it neutral for everybody. We've been in a major disaster. I understand there's a need for money right now to pay for things, but the state's also going to cover a bunch of that. So whatever we end on, we need to make sure that it stays relatively neutral. I'm not going to harangue you guys for the 8% because there's a lot of confusion there. Just be wary of the embedded costs of the rates that y'all set because it's not just on our homes, it's on everybody. It's a vicious cycle. That's all I have.
thank you. Next agenda item is discussion regarding proposed departmental requested budgets and tax rate. As you know, it is incumbent on the county judge to make a recommended budget. And at some point in this year, it's actually August the 8th, this Friday, I have to file some kind of proposed budget. We can keep working on the budget, but I got to put something on file. And so, let me start by giving credit to our auditor, Tanya Shelton. I could not have done this without her. But I put together was working on a proposed budget, but while we were going through our workshop phase, we had some things action was taken with regard to certain items. And those items were not in my proposed budget. That's a disclaimer. I understand it's going to be in the budget, but it was not in my proposed budget. And I haven't gone back to change that at this point because we have a lot of changes to make, and that's what the gist of these comments will be. When I worked on my initial recommended budget, I was using the no new revenue rate and trying to come up with a budget based on the no new revenue rate like we have in so many years before. And included in my recommended budget, proposed budget, were the about $2 million of uncollectible property taxes that we've estimated we will not be able to collect. Also included an additional $2 million of property taxes for the 25% match, assuming that we have $10 million worth of capital projects with FEMA, which is usually a 75-25 match on that. That's just more money that we're going to have to pay out because of this disaster. And it included a $500,000 increase in contingency funds for, as much as I hate to say this, autopsies. That was about $400,000 worth of check this past week. And recovery warehouse in the airport. We had some major expenses there. My original proposed budget, which I've given to the commissioners this morning, had a proposed tax rate the same as last year. That's 42.33 cents per $100 valuation. I was trying to keep it where it was last year. We didn't include 3.5%. We didn't include 8%. We never do. This is a very cost-conscious court. I did include requested new hires and special requests that everybody asked for that we've gone over before. That included the adoption coordinator to the shelter coordinator for the animal control facility, a new full-time kennel tech for the animal control facility, increase for the county court at law court coordinator to that of our court administrator, a payroll specialist increase, an assistant auditor to the first assistant auditor increase, a KCSO administrative assistant increase, an elections administrator, start working on trying to hire an election administrator, and a part-time county clerk position, and $3,000 increases in all 8 of the district clerk positions. All those were included in my proposed budget. So I'd put those in there. And we've talked about them before. This is not our first discussion of that. I did not include what I voted against, and that was the KCSO request for a new patrol deputy. The sheriff and I disagreed about that. The new corrections officer, the sheriff, special request, and salary request. The new administrative division, special request. And the part-time civil deputy, I agreed with on that one. And then for the 198th District Attorney's Office, I agreed to the increases, but asked that he take them out of his SB 22 funds. And also with the legal assistants, I agreed, recommended those to be paid from the forfeiture funds. So that's what went into my proposed budget. That's not going to be the budget, but that's what I proposed. So that's what we're calling the county judge's proposed budget recommendation. It also included a 2.5% wage adjustment, which will be discussed today and decided today. And it had financing a lot of the heavy equipment that we're using for road and bridge, a total of probably $2.3 million that we're putting on a note. So we're not trying to pay all that in the budget, we're just trying to pay the part that gets financed. And we had I was just talking about FEMA. The estimates that I've heard on our damaged roads in the county so far exceed $7.5 to $8 million, and suspect it's more than that. So I put a $10 million fund or amount to be financed in the budget, so that we're just paying the monthly payments. So with that, at the end of the day, the fund balance would drop down to a little bit under 20%. And we've been trying to keep it up well over 30. I think we've got it up to 40 almost at one point. But that we would have to use some of those funds, and then we'd just be down to about 20%. And I did not include the specific capital projects like the FEMA expense or the animal shelter or the capital projects. Those are one-time expenses. So that was my proposed budget. And copies are available. I'm looking at our court administrator. Copies can be available if you want copies of that. But that's not the one, and let me give you some of the summary numbers. It was at the same tax rate as it was last year, including the $10 million for the FEMA improvements and repairs. The total revenues, the total expenditures, not revenues, expenditures that we projected were 71 million plus. And that was going to result in about a $12.5 million deficit budget, which, as you know, under our budget culture, we get a lot of money back at the end of the fiscal year. And so that's projection on that. That would have been the normal budget that I would have presented, okay? But that's not what's going to happen. Things have changed. And I want to give credit to Road and Bridge and commissioners have been very proactive. I know that I'm supposed to make a recommended budget, and I've shown you what mine is, or would have been. It's still going to be my recommended budget that I'm filing on Friday, but that's not going to be the final budget. We had to get more realistic. And so what we're looking at are putting in all of the positions that the sheriff's office asked for that were voted on, Sheriff. Putting those in the budget, just as we all agree. And on the road and bridge projects, and this was very carefully done by your commissioners. And while that's not their normal responsibility, they are liaisons with that department. And they sat down and had a real, pardon the expression, a come to Jesus moment with what they were going to be doing, because Road and Bridge is going to be very busy repairing roads for most of the year. So they went through a series of projects, and I'll let them explain to you what those projects were that we are deferring and pulling them out of the budget. And they total about $1.4 million worth of road and bridge capital projects that are being put on hold as a result of this disaster. And I think we're going to reduce it down to a little over $100,000. So with that, we've got what I'm calling a Commissioner's Court proposed budget. And I thank you for your, people think we haven't been working on this. We've been, every day we go to the emergency operations center. And we have had to get all of this done in between all of that. But the budget that I'm calling it their budget would have the total at the same tax rate. This is at the same tax rate as last year, keeping that, which is an accomplishment to be able to keep that, in my opinion. But the expenditures would be about $70 million, with a little bit less than $12 million deficit. But the fund balance at the end would be 21.23%, and the state recommended is 25. We're a little under that. We're trying not to. We're trying to comply with what the recommendations are, and we understand we're going from about 32% down to less than 22%, which is a significant reduction in our fund balance. And that is the best guess I have before the decisions that are going to be made today, what the budget would have been.
A large portion of that FEMA, where you came up with that 10 million, is going to be greatly reduced probably by the end of today.
We pray every moment.
By about another $6 million is what we're looking at. So we should have an answer on that pretty quick.
But the point that I'm making is everybody is scared to death when I'm going to make a proposed budget that I'm going to do something hog wild and go out there and raise tax rates, 5, 10 cents. And we never do it. We have never done it. The first year that I presided over a budget, we had a same tax rate as the year before. And in the next 5 years, or 4 years, until last year, we had a no new revenue budget. And last year was no new revenue, wasn't it, Bob?
Yeah, it was.
It was, yeah.
You're talking about the bond
Right.
year, a couple of years ago, the only time.
But we never have. And everybody's scared to death that we're gonna do it, and we don't do it. We never do it. And even when you look at where we are with this disaster and everything that has befallen the citizens of this county and people that come here for recreation and relaxation. With the help of my fellow commissioners, we've been able to bring this thing under control. And there will probably, when Bob finishes all this up, he'll be able to tell you exactly how much it's gonna increase. But we're still using the same tax rate as last year at this point.
Well, I'll state it again. I'm proud of what I've done since I've set up here, what we've done to keep the tax rate low. And, boy, public record, look at it. We've done a good job of it.
And again,
Well,
go ahead.
I agree with you, Commissioner Harris. All I'm gonna say, I'm perfectly fine if we go well below 20% in terms of reserve. That's what this is for, a time like this. And if we have to, we need to. So,
But we have. We
It's,
are.
it's still a work in
Well,
progress.
but you're trying to keep it over 20%. Frankly, if we gotta go significantly lower, I'm okay with that. I mean, I do think we need to go through, there's a few new positions I disagree with, but I guess we're gonna go through that one by one. Anyway, I just wanted to
I think
make
we've
that.
pretty much been through
make
all the
that
new
clear.
positions.
Well, for example, elections administrator, why on
That's
earth
just
do
a
we need
salary.
that? It's a new position, right?
It would be adding somebody to the elections staff, yes.
Why do we need that?
Because it's understaffed as we speak. I defer to
Well,
our elections administrator.
We
to
added
explain that.
people before when it moved under the county clerk. I'm not seeing the need for this position. So, personally, I don't approve it, if we're gonna go through it.
Well, there's things throughout this that we don't all agree on, you know, and it's kind of ends up being a compromise deal, you know. I've voiced my opinion on some things and got overruled, and I think each of us have probably in one way or another. So, and it's a work in progress yet.
That's
Just-
good. That's
This is the rough draft, basically,
This is the
latest,
second edition.
yes.
Yeah, and we just got handed this morning. We're gonna have some discussions over a lot of this.
Well, we need to
And
see
I
it
don't know if
with
now
all
we're
those.
supposed to do that or not, but we do need to have some discussions on a bunch of it, and I think you did a good job getting it out. Thank you.
Well, let me make sure the public understands our timeline here. This second edition budget that I just went over with you is what I proposed to file on Friday as a proposed budget. It's not my original, but this is something that we've been able to come up with collectively.
Right.
And we still have several opportunities to revise it. There will be a workshop on August the 13th, which is a Wednesday, to tweak any additional items in the budget that we think we ought to do. And that really is the last tweak workshop that we have, where we can fine tune things. Because the next hearing on budget will be August the 25th, and that will be the public hearing and the vote. So while we can change it that day if we need to, that is a possibility. But that is the final day that we have to vote. So we've got a workshop and another public hearing between now and the decision.
And will we get a copy of that before the 13th?
Sure, it's going to be made available.
Okay, thanks.
Judge, your proposed budget that you're turning in will be filed on the 8th and available through the county clerk's office.
There you go. Sorry, Nadine.
Wouldn't it make sense to go ahead and add in the impact of the sheriff's positions that we've already approved? Because right now you're telling me they're
No,
not in there.
They are in there.
Yes, they
I put
are.
it in.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard that they were.
That's what this court wanted. I put it
The
in.
original wasn't, the
But it's
new
in
and
the
improved,
proposed.
the second version.
Okay.
It's the second edition, yeah.
Fair enough.
Right.
I mean, since it's already approved.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
we have to make decisions
I
collectively.
misunderstood. My
and
fault.
We don't always agree, but at the end of the day, we've got to present a document
Right.
that has the majority support. And that's what we've done. So that's kind of and this is just a discussion today. Ms. Hall, you want to talk about this? Okay.
And what's the salary increase that you factored in?
2.5.
2.5.
2.5.
And put that in both of them. Just left it in.
So what's the difference
We're gonna
between these
decide
two?
today.
What was the difference between these two sheets?
I'm not sure what you're
Y'all
showing.
are
Well, I
gonna
don't
talk
know.
about that, if that's what you're looking at, Commissioner Cases, you could probably go ahead, Judge, and call item 1.3, so y'all can continue talking about 1.2 and 1.3 at the same time.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Heather.
That's a good idea.
Okay, just a second.
Yes.
Item 1.3, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve fiscal year 25-26 Kerr County wage adjustment. Our HR Director, Sylvia Zapata.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Commissioner Paces, that's just I added a 2% in there for you to look at. I didn't, Ilda did, for you to look at numbers. It was just another option.
But
Here they are.
I'm looking at these proposed
Oh, sorry, I thought you were
sheets,
looking
and
at
I'm
the
just trying to
spreadsheet.
understand the difference between one.
Okay, here they are.
and-
Look at the bottom right-hand corner.
This one is mine, this one is proposed, or there, as I put here. And you can see, when you're talking about total expenditures,
Yeah,
70 versus 71. And you can look
Okay.
over in the last column as to the percent
Right.
of expenditures in the fund balance,
okay.
21.23 versus 19.68.
The 1.3 or so that we, Commissioner Jones and I got with Road and Bridge and were able to take out some proposed projects, about 1.3, a little over 1.3 million, and
Yeah.
that's reflected in the second one.
Yeah,
Oh, it is, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's,
But again, the salary increase, I thought I heard earlier it was 3.5, but you're saying it's 2.5?
2.5. That's what I've talked about from the
It's been
beginning.
2.5 most of the time, that's what we, yeah. I just did one over the weekend, Ilda did over the weekend for the
Yeah,
two.
I see you've given us
There's a different
2%
option.
also to consider.
Yes, that's all it is.
Well, and let me say this before you start, okay? We went back and we looked at our wage adjustments over the last, 6 years versus what the rate of inflation has been. And over the last 6 years, the percentage of wage adjustments, the percentage of inflation, let's see. For the last 6 years, inflation has gone up 25.88%. And the wage adjustments went up 17.5%. And so that's a difference of about a little over 8 cents below the inflation rate. So we've tried to keep the employees close to what the cost of living really is.
But Judge, if you'll take the last, those were COVID years, if you'll take the last 3 years, and I didn't bring that sheet in here with me, I apologize. But it ends up being, the last 3 years, you've given a 14% increase. And when you look at inflation at that point, it ends up being a little over 1% over the last 3 years.
I agree, the last 3 years is what we really need to go by.
Because you're looking at, you're factoring in COVID, and I'm not opposed to giving employees
I'm not arguing with
raises.
anybody. I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
saying-
I'm just saying, I'm not opposed, I don't want it coming across that I'm opposed to
Right.
raises, because I'm
Me
not.
neither.
But if it comes at the cost of increasing the tax, then I am. That's the deciding factor for me. Because I do think these people have worked hard I told you before, I worked for a municipality, and we had a large tax base, and I expected a cost of living raise every year. And these people certainly are deserving of that too. But this is the largest disaster in the history of Kerr County. And I'm not willing to do that if it's gonna cost another percentage for a tax increase. That's kind of the deciding factor for me on that.
Well, I've stated it 2 or 3 times already that we tightened our belts during the China virus, and this is another time we need to tighten our belts. So we'll see. This is a work in progress. We'll see what happens.
Ms. Pata, go ahead and make your presentation.
I don't have anything to add. I've said what I've said in the past 2 meetings. We put in there a 2% just as another option, another item to consider, another number to consider. It's in y'all's hands.
Thank you.
And we may get that number further down, like I said, because we already are looking at other factors right now to bring that total down even more, and we might be in better shape than we think.
Right.
Are we gonna be adding budget again? The worksheet that she has to do is super complicated and takes a long time. If we're gonna stick with the same time limit, we really need the decision, whatever it is, to be made. Right now, you have where we are, the best guesstimate, without a doubt, if you want to narrow that down. But are we gonna add more budget workshops? We're going to need time.
If we need to add more budget workshops, I think we need to. Because if you're talking about something as critical as whether we're gonna give an increase in pay or not, I want the closest number we can get before I'm willing to vote for or against anything.
Without a doubt, and
Right.
I'm not arguing for.
No, I know that. I know that.
Just trying to figure out what you're going to need to make a decision, just so we can move forward. Like, I don't have anything else that needs to be entered, other than the picture that y'all have in front of you.
Well, I think I said pretty clearly, I think that some of those numbers are gonna come way down on what we're looking at as far as our FEMA and the extra 10 million that's figured into all that.
I think what she's really talking about is the complexity of these calculations, and it takes time to get all that done. We're not gonna be able to do this at the last minute. And from the HR and auditor perspective, the sooner they know what it is that you wanna do on wage adjustment,
Right.
the better they can get their job done.
Correct.
And we've had years where we were scrambling at the last minute and
Right,
barely got it done.
right.
Goes back to the need.
These are answers I should have in the next, I would say, 2 days.
Okay, we will need, also, there's publishing rules that we have to do.
The what?
We
Publishing.
have to post the
Publishing the newspaper.
In the
Right.
paper, we've got to have a chance for them to have a grievance, filed if there are, I mean.
And that's-
I wish it was as easy.
That's really what the Friday deadline is. We have to have that budget on file with the county clerk to put it in the newspaper.
Right. The elected salaries and all that.
Correct.
So the elected salaries.
That's what these-
are part of that.
these agenda items are.
Today's agenda.
I'm trying to get it to where we could give people increases, because based on what I'm seeing here, we can't. And so I'm actually trying to help move this to where we can. I understand your deadlines, I do, and I will do everything I can to get those numbers to you as quick as we can.
Do y'all want to meet on Friday?
I'll meet any day of the week.
Well, how am I gonna get it in a budget if we meet on Friday morning and I've got to have it filed by 5 o'clock?
What about it? Let's see.
Now, the good news is here, what I file at 5 o'clock is not the final budget, but it will be the one published in the paper.
Right, right. So we could still make adjustments,
Yes?
yeah.
Yes? They could.
I'm not sure what the publishing, Jody,
Yeah, it's, I guess in order to stay in line with the budget calendar you have right now,
Yes.
those have to be published by the 13th. But it's got to be in, but the proposed budget has to be done before those can be published. So if you met Friday, it would have, and I don't know if any of you get the numbers together together, but you would have to have a workshop followed up by a meeting and
Actually,
And it's HR would be getting all of that numbers together.
and I can get them together if I just know what they are. I mean, Ilda has worked on many scenarios, and at this point, we're just,
Well,
like,
I
we're
think
just-
you've given us this,
Excuse me, we're not allowed to have our phones.
that's a fire issue.
No, that's an
Sorry.
emergency management issue, and he gets code red, he's gonna hear it. That is the
It's
only
not
exception.
too bad.
Right. Well, so what we need is a breakdown of the $10 million that she has proposed on there. And then we can look at that today and see what we're looking at trying to eliminate that can give you a little more detailed number.
What
that
10
maybe
million are you
can work.
talking about?
Road and bridge.
Oh,
No,
road
not
and
road
bridge?
and bridge, not road and bridge, under the FEMA,
Oh, okay.
all this here.
Right.
I need to see where those numbers came from,
Sure.
so I can see what we're working on to eliminate, and then you can get pretty close. You can figure that in, and then if we get that eliminated, you've got it ready to go.
And so I want Tanya and Sylvia, we're talking about Fund 30. That's what you're looking at, right, Tom?
Yes, sir,
And that's where you think there may be more savings?
a lot.
There's a workshop with FEMA this afternoon.
At 2:30.
At 1:30.
2:30.
I'm sorry, 2:30, 2:30? Okay. And so that's where the damage inventory is, that is where that number is coming from.
Yeah, that's all I need to know, is where that number coming from, so we can try to work on it.
So it's 8.5 million on roads, which is what we've said, and what was initially done. There's still 3 roads through that we don't know about, or the last I've heard, is still underwater. And there's 500,000 on 2 lift stations, so that's about $1 million.
Where were we at on the insurance on that?
The insurance rate is 500,000.
it is.
Is that what it is?
And
Okay,
we have to pay it up to
gotcha,
that.
right,
So
Correct.
that's how that number looks like.
okay,
So that's your 9.5 million, so
Right.
if you want to use the 9.5, if that makes a difference, and it will come down 500,000.
I mean,
and the road and bridge number is what I'm looking at, that we would be dropping drastically.
So the addition budget, I think he needs the Cade Loop Road, I think is the.
Absolutely.
Right.
one.
Yeah, because that cost you had factored in there was a replacement cost,
Yeah.
and that does not seem to be what we're gonna be doing, and we've got a star request in right now. And we've got all the engineering reports in that we needed to have with the exact verbiage that they needed, to possibly get that done now by them, and eliminate that cost from us.
So since you might have enough information to make a decision on this particular item on the way to Justin to include in the first edition or second edition.
Whichever
budget,
edition, right.
That will be posted on Friday. You could recess and come back in the morning at 9 o'clock. You could recess for a 24-hour, up to 24-hour.
Yeah, see if we can get it.
Yep. We're working on it. I mean, everything's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And it's trying to lower these numbers.
Maximum time, we're really down to the last.
Yeah, I'm trying to work with you on this. I know you've got deadlines and all that. I'm trying to,
And those are not our deadlines, these are deadlines as determined by.
Sure.
Do we have any mental health tomorrow?
right, right. No, and you've been wonderful to work with on all this. You've explained everything thoroughly. I've got different information than you're working with, and that's gonna happen. So,
But I think, Sylvia, you've probably given us all the scenarios we need, so I
Yeah.
don't think we need to go back to you to do something different. We just have to make a decision.
And if there
on it.
is, as we certainly can, just let us know what it is. We've tried to put everything we could possibly think together.
Sure.
And we're really just working.
Wouldn't it be nice if we no longer had a step rate system and you could just factor a percentage?
Hopefully, that's a work in progress.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah.
I hope so. Every year
We've
we
got a
run into
salary
this
study.
problem with budgets.
We've got a salary study that is not reflected in this budget at all.
Correct.
that'll be a blessing.
So if y'all decide to recess today, there are a couple of questions. Well, maybe it's just one question. Do you still wanna, if you recess today and come back in the morning and make this decision, there's a chance that you might not make a decision still. So you may still need a workshop on Friday, and in order to appropriately post for that, we're gonna have to know and do it and be done with that by 9 o'clock in the morning. And so Jody needs some time to get that ready. So she'll need instruction about whether or not to post for a workshop on Friday, even if you do recess and reconvene in the morning.
Let me restate this, make sure that we're all on the same page. There is some potential information that could come available by late afternoon that could impact at least your consideration of a wage adjustment. And I think that if that's going to be positive for the employees, then I'm all in for it.
Good.
And so we're talking about adjourning, not adjourning, just recessing, and come back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And I'll work around my mental health, whatever it is. I do mental health cases on Tuesday mornings. But this has to be done. So that's step number one, is the recess, and we'll reconsider it in the morning. But we're talking about just the wage adjustment, right? We're gonna do these other items on the agenda. You get those decided today?
Well, there's.
Can't.
Yeah, I was
Can't.
gonna, that was gonna say my comment,
The electeds.
yeah, unless.
So we're really,
Yeah, it's,
we're passing on 1.3,
4 and 5.
4, and 5.
yep.
They kind of affect each other.
Okay. So what we're going to do is recess here in just a minute, and we'll come back at 9 o'clock, is that it, in the morning?
Okay?
And we'll revisit all these issues. If we don't reach an agreement on the wage adjustment tomorrow, then we're going to post for a public meeting.
I've got this today, like, it's gotta, if you wanna meet on Friday, it's gotta be posted before 9 a.m.
Just post it. We can
Okay.
always pull it down.
Posted, and if you cancel it.
That's what we're going to do. And we're going to post for a meeting for Friday morning,
Okay.
so that if we need that, we've got it. Now, if we still don't have an agreement on this thing, the recommended budget that I'm going to file on Friday afternoon, because the statute says I have to, is the second edition.
Okay.
Right.
And so that's the default if we don't get something worked out.
Judge, is that the same tax rate as this year in the second edition?
Yes.
Thank you.
I was able to do the first edition and second edition at the same tax rate as last year.
How soon can you have that actual no new revenue tax rate calculated?
You mean
Yes.
1%?
Well,
Or are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one that doesn't, that's adjusted for the appraised values that doesn't raise anybody's taxes on average.
I'll have it by 9 o'clock in the morning.
Excellent.
So
Like
there's
to
a
see
lot more
that.
to look at, yeah.
Now, I want to make sure that my colleagues on the court understand, or as they say, my learned brethren. But what's in the second edition is a 2.5% wage adjustment. And if that ends up being the default, you need to know that's what's in it. And those calculations have already been done, and they're ready to go. So if we're going to change it, the sooner we know what it is, the better.
Right.
And to be clear, we've discussed, the 2.5%. And looking back in history, we've done 0, we've done 1.5, so it wouldn't hurt to have some lower numbers since we're up against the wall. So
We got 2% there.
I know.
You want a
Do
1.5?
Do
I
something less
just
than
need
2.
direction.
1 and 1.5. How's
One
that?
and 1.5, okay.
And not that we're going to use them, but just like we had Bob calculate stuff,
Please
just so
state
we
that-
know.
Please state that loudly. Not that we're gonna use them.
I did.
Added information. Help us
Yeah,
make the right
well,
decision.
we're up against the wall, and I would hate to come in the morning and say, God, I wish I had those numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, absolutely.
And to put this in perspective, when you consider where we are with the disaster in this county, and the 17, 18-hour days that people have been working, and to be able to, I know we've put this off as long as we can, and it looks like we're running real fast to get down here at the end, which we are. But this is still the best that we could do under these kind of conditions. Before we get, we've got an approved agenda item that we're gonna have to get to on the court orders. But, with regard to these budget items, you still have open items if you wanna talk about them. You want to? Yeah, yeah.
This may be something that, Terry Hall again for the record, maybe something that Commissioner Jones was referring to about bringing down the cost on some things after today's FEMA meeting. But my understanding is that a lot of the volunteer hours, all of them, if they're being tracked, can be used to buy down that 25% match.
Correct.
And I know for me, the hours I've been putting in aren't to give county employees a pay raise, but to help my neighbors. And so that aspect to me, I don't think that's why we should be working so hard to get those numbers down. It's for everybody to have the tax rate low so that we can afford to live here. It's not just so county employees can get wage adjustments when they've already had 3 in a row. So just wanted to give a little perspective.
And we've heard that every year, and we've done a good job of doing it. I think you'd have to agree, Terry. We have done a good job on the tax rate over the years.
But I also want you to know that people outside this building don't get a pay raise every year.
I know that, I know that.
Many don't, and they're not keeping up with inflation, not even close. And we're the ones having to pay the bills, and that's always the push-pull, right? I mean, if you have a government job, you're subject to taxpayers and how much government we can
And I've
afford.
stated that myself. in the
And
past.
fortunately, when I'm looking at those last 3 years, and we're only behind a little over 1.3 or something.
Your citizens are way more behind than
But
that,
inflation's also coming down,
Right,
thankfully, because we have a new administration.
so.
yes.
Absolutely. So anyway, I just want to make sure you know that I'm pretty sure that the volunteers that are out there working and slaving and helping, that's not what they're doing it for.
Everybody's got a role, and everybody's working their
Yes,
tails off.
yes.
A lot of them in this room, they're surprised to hear, because they've been working their tails off.
Yes, absolutely. But we do need those hours tracked, just a little word on that, to help with that, for sure.
Okay, then, we're gonna move on to the approval agenda, which is 2.1, court orders. And, let me identify the court orders, and I think you have some input that you want to offer.
No, I've got some clarification.
Okay.
It's okay. So I have reviewed all those court orders and I found them acceptable.
Okay, I did too. So, let me identify the court orders. We have court orders from our July 14th meeting, which are numbers 41369 through 41384. And then we have court orders for the meeting on July 21st. And those court orders are numbered 41385 through 41395. And then we have court orders from the July 28 meeting, which numbered are number 41396 through 41418. And in reviewing those orders, I find that they've all appear to be in order, and I will make a motion that they be approved.
Second?
Got a motion and a second?
Yep.
Discussion? Okay, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. There being no other business on the agenda,
We're gonna be
Recess?
recessed.
we're going to recess, and we will reconvene at 9 o'clock in the morning in this room. And that will be the order. Here we go.
I was afraid you were fixing to be.